Breaking news tonight, a deadly shooting at a home in Pittsford. We have been near the scene all night gathering information. We are told this happened during a family dispute.
The shooting happened at a home on Coachside Lane. 13 WHAM's Rachel Glazer is live now in the neighborhood with the very latest. Rachel?
Well, guys, you can see the long line of sheriff's cars out here, deputies guarding the scene of this homicide investigation. And we've been watching detectives go in and out of this house just over my shoulder. It's the one with the light on the upstairs. That's where a man was shot and killed earlier tonight. 3 people were inside that home at the time of the shooting, and right now police are questioning the victim's family, calling them persons of interest tonight. Investigators say the first 911 call came in just after 6 o'clock. A woman called to report a domestic dispute. They say it's unclear who was arguing, but they believe that fight led up to the shooting. And when officers got to the home here, the woman was in the driveway with who they believe to be is her adult son. Then they went inside and they found the man who's in his 40s with gunshot wounds to the upper body. He died at the scene. And again, police are questioning 2 people who are believed to be the victim's wife and son tonight. Are either of them suspects at this point?
Well, obviously that we're talking to them because we believe that they may have some involvement in this. We just don't know the circumstances surrounding it yet. Search warrants are being written for the residents.
Police are saying this was isolated. They believe it was all contained to the home, so they don't think that the community is in any danger tonight. They are waiting on some search warrants as they continue this investigation, and we will bring you the latest information as soon as we get it. Live in Pittsford, Rachel Glazer, 13 WHAM News.
Saying her son shot her husband, Prowler, is hysterical. She's saying that the son was trying to protect himself.
A 19-year-old under arrest accused of fatally shooting his father at their Pittsford home. We begin tonight with new information in the case of a Pittsford teen charged with murder. 19-year-old Charlie Tan is accused of killing his father with a shotgun. Within the last hour, we received a statement from his lawyer, who adds a layer of confirmation to what some have suspected in this case. Attorney James Nobles telling 13 WHAM News, and we quote, "We're doing our own investigation, but one thing that is certainly clear is a history of domestic violence in that home for more than 20 years, not only toward Charlie Tan's mother, but also toward both sons." That from James Noble, the attorney that has been retained. Cody Combs learned today that some who know that family have been wondering if this is a case of murder or self-defense, and obviously that seems to be what was going to play out. We join Cody now live with more information on this. Cody?
Dawn, investigators say that Charlie Tan shot his father multiple times last evening, causing his death. But his mother says that this was all done out of self-defense. However, neighbors say that this isn't the first time that police had to stop by the Tan household.
I'm not sure why, but there have been several times through the years that the police have been here.
The Monroe County Sheriff's Office confirms domestic issues caused the frequent visits. 19-year-old Charlie Tan is now accused of shooting and killing his father, Jim Tan.
Caller said her son or husband arguing the caller heard shots, said someone in the house has a gun. Saying her son shot her husband, Prowler, is hysterical.
Charlie's mother, Jean, says her son was trying to protect himself. That's according to audio of the 911 dispatch.
We're all heartbroken. My kids are pretty upset. It's just a tragedy. There's no other way to describe it. It's just very sad that something like this could happen.
As investigators try to figure out exactly what happened, neighbors are telling us that Charlie was perhaps the most prominent and popular member of the family, making these murder charges that much more shocking.
He was student body president, not just of his class, and super sweet kid, would never hurt anyone. So my heart really goes out to the family.
The teenage suspect is currently a student at Cornell, where he previously played football.
When I heard this morning that it was Charlie, that's when I got emotional, because that's who we know, my kids know, and know of, being this sweet person who wouldn't hurt a fly, who wouldn't hurt anyone. Very popular, well-liked. Everyone liked him.
And Don, we should point out again that we've learned 19-year-old Charlie Tan has obtained legal counsel for these second-degree murder charges. We've reached out to his mother to comment on this story. She has not returned those requests. Tan remains in the Monroe County Jail. Live in Pittsford, Cody Combs, 13 WHAM News.
For the second day in a row, a 911 call takes center stage in the trial of Pittsford teen charged with killing his father.
911, sir. What's the address of the emergency?
Yes, hi, my name is Jean Tan, and I'm at 37 Coachside Lane. and my husband just beats me up. I need your protection.
Jean Tan, allegedly under attack by her husband, calling for help. 10 days later, she called 911 again, this time to report her husband had been shot to death by her son, Charlie Tan. Jane Flash, live at the Hall of Justice covering the trial, joins us now. Jane.
Well, Don, the defense says this 911 call proves a pattern of abuse inside the Tan home, but prosecutors say it proves something else, a motive for intentional murder. On January 25th, while Charlie Tan was away at school, his mother, Jean, placed a frantic call to 911.
Are you injured?
Yes, he choked me, and I'm so scared. Please,
You want an
please
ambulance?
help. Oh, you tell me. No.
Later, Jim Tan gets on the line.
My name is Jim Tan.
Okay.
All right, so there's no issue here. Just my wife and myself have some arguments.
Police have been called to the Countryside Lane home 18 times since 2003.
It obviously links to a history of domestic violence in the home, and at least on that particular instance, a very serious issue of domestic violence.
But prosecutors say that 911 call was the last straw for Charlie Tan.
So this would be motive, but our theory is that information was conveyed to him about something that would make him want to kill his father.
5 days later, Charlie Tan called a high school friend and football buddy. Jacob Grossman testified Charlie asked him for money. When they met later, quote, he looked like he was crying, Grossman testified. Charlie said he'd be leaving the country tomorrow.
Was he planning to leave the country? Did he leave the country?
Don't know the answers to those. You'll have to wait and hear what comes out at the trial.
Grossman was so upset at his friend's demeanor, he called 911 to seek help for him. Deputy Steve Williams testified when he responded to the Tan home the night of the homicide call, Jim Tan's wounds were not fresh. Prosecutors say that's because Tan killed his father days earlier and point to that teary meeting he had with his high school friend.
Are you saying that's the night he shot his father?
I'm saying that that's a night that is unlike any he's had before. I think it's consistent with the time frame that's been placed in the indictment.
Now, deputies testified today. They also found business cards for attorneys in Mrs. Tan's purse. Prosecutors say that she and her son may have sought legal advice, and they say that could account for what they say is a 4-day delay in reporting Jim Tan's death. Reporting live outside the Hall of Justice, Jane Flash, 13 WHAM News.
At this point, it is what it is. We didn't call it quits. The judge did, and the lawyers did.
Jurors say they wanted to keep deliberating, but the judge in the Charlie Tan murder trial declared a mistrial. Jurors say they were deadlocked, 8 to convict, 4 to acquit. Now they're done, and a new jury will have to decide if Charlie Tan intentionally killed his father, Jim. We have team coverage, reaction from jurors and the judge. But we begin with 13 WHAM's Patrice Walsh in court today for that moment. How much of a surprise was it, Patrice?
Well, Ginny, for many of the reporters in the courtroom, it was definitely a surprise. We knew there wasn't a note, but we didn't know why everyone was being called back in until the judge declared a mistrial. But attorneys telling us they decided last night this needed to end, but they did tell us no one wins with a mistrial.
It was kind of disappointing knowing that it came out as a mistrial.
Supporters of Charlie Tan didn't want the trial to end this way.
I've been following this trial the entire time, and I really felt like he was innocent. I just don't think that there was enough evidence to prove his guilt.
Sarah Gosnell and Caitlin Licata have attended the case almost every day.
We've been following it since the very beginning, and we wanted to be here to show our support to him.
Attorneys say no one wants a case to end in a mistrial, but they say after the jury's final note Wednesday night saying they were exhausted, it was clear they couldn't reach a unanimous verdict.
It became inevitable that it was time to say no more for them.
Their job's harder than ours.
Disappointed at all, Brian?
Of course we are. We came into this expecting to win, frankly. Anybody that comes into a trial and is satisfied by a hung jury is crazy. So we're disappointed.
Any comments, Shirley, at all? Charlie Tan left court quickly after agreeing to the mistrial, not stopping to answer reporters' questions. In court, he said, "Yes, sir," when asked by the judge if he consented to discharge the jury without a verdict. The case will be retried.
We recognize the DA's office isn't going to walk away from a homicide.
Prosecutors say they'll do more in their next trial to prove their case, but they say Charlie Tan will be tried on the same intentional murder charge.
I think when you shotgun somebody 3 times, there is no value in a lesser charge.
Tan's attorneys say he was hoping to put this behind him and move on, possibly re-enrolling in college. They believe the jury struggled because there was reasonable doubt.
A homicide occurred. We know that. Frankly, an intentional homicide occurred. We know that. We said that during our closing argument. But there was reasonable doubt relative to Charlie Tan being the person that did that.
Now, Charlie Tan remains free on bail. He'll return to court with attorneys on November 5th. They will set a date for that retrial. We're told it could be as early as January and as late as next June. We're also told that Charlie Tan is living in Rochester. Reporting live at the Hall of Justice, Patrice Walsh, 13WAM News.
His smile tells the story. 20-year-old Charlie Tan is a free man tonight as a judge dismisses the murder charge in the death of his father. Reaction? Strong and quick.
This is appalling. You know, in my 24 years, I've never in my life experienced anything like that.
No words. Shocked.
Disappointed. Very disappointed. You know, I feel like we wasted our time.
Everybody has told us, his friends, his family, that this kid was going places, that he was going to be somebody. This gives him the chance to be somebody.
Good evening. It was supposed to be a routine court hearing to set a date for Charlie Tan's second murder trial. Instead, case dismissed. The judge saying there was no evidence that Tan killed his father. We have team coverage tonight. Our team coverage including more of the reaction you just saw from reporters Carla Clare, Kelsey Smith, and Patrice Walsh, who was in court when that stunning announcement was made this morning. Patrice?
Don, a heated exchange between the judge and the prosecutor. The judge telling him he was going to handcuff him because the prosecutor was fighting against the dismissal of the charges. And when that was over, it was when Charlie Tan realized he was free. Charlie Tan's supporters cried as they left the courtroom, some of them too emotional to speak. Tan walked out smiling, looking like he was finally ready to share his story.
Yeah, back up.
Sorry.
Please, calm down. Let's go over here.
Okay.
Calm down.
But his attorneys whisked him away, promising an interview another time. They say in court, Tan didn't realize right away what had happened.
He obviously got it at some point. He's turning, he's smiling, he's crying, he's hugging us.
Though no one but the judge knew this was coming, defense attorneys say they did know it was a possibility.
And given the lack of the people's evidence, it wasn't surprising at all.
But prosecutor Bill Gargan says he was shocked. He called the ruling absurd. He says Charlie Tan admitted he killed his father. That's why Gargan says he argued with the judge and challenged his ruling in court.
And I was more than willing to have handcuffs placed on me to argue my point.
Gargan says the ruling can't be appealed and Tan can't be charged a second time with murder.
There is no potential for changing what occurred.
Tan's attorneys say he'll go back to college and try to move forward.
I think he gets back to school. He's a 20-year-old kid. He's a sharp kid. He's an articulate kid. You guys have seen him. I think he's going to get back to doing what he was doing.
But Tan's attorneys also acknowledge it is going to be hard for him to move on from this because of all the publicity, but they tell us he's a good kid caught in a bad family situation. Reporting live at the Hall of Justice, Patrice Walsh, 13WAM News.